Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'll just allow people another minute to join us. So as the final attendees join us today, I will just welcome you this morning and say hello. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to welcome you to the Earth Observation for Climate Smart Innovation Participant Showcase. And for those of you who are new to this initiative, welcome. And for those of you who've joined us throughout this journey, welcome back. It's really great to see you here again and to have had you join us. So my name is Amy Parker, and I am the Director of the Centre for Earth Observation at CSIRO, which is Australia's National Science Agency. The Earth Observation for Climate Smart Innovation Initiative, also known as EOCSI, is a joint activity led by CSIRO and Geoscience Australia, Australia's National Geoscience Agency. And it's supported by funding from the Australian Government Supporting Australian Innovation in Asia programme. So CSIRO and Geoscience Australia have a long history of working together and partnering in the use of Earth observation data, in developing Earth observation analysis technologies, and in providing leadership amongst the global Earth observation community, and supporting us in the delivery of the EOCSI project are Frontier SI and Symbios. And Roshni Sharma, a project manager and analyst from Frontier SI, is joining me in moderating our event today. Next slide, please. To begin with, I would first like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, including those who may be joining us today. So a quick reminder that this event is being recorded and to keep your microphone on mute if you're not presenting. We will have an open question and discussion panel as part of the proceedings, and you can ask questions anonymously by going to slido.com and entering the event code #showcase2022. And I'm sure somebody from the team will put those details in the chat window for you as well. So our agenda today, following my introduction to EOCSI, we have the pleasure of introducing Alison Rose, Chief of Space Division at Geoscience Australia, who will be delivering the keynote talk. Then we will hear from EOCSI participants about the work they've done with our team, developing ideas that use Earth observation to innovate climate smart solutions. The EOCSI team will then be answering your questions in a discussion panel before we close. So our keynote today sets the scene and the broader context as to why the EOCSI initiative is significant for our region. And I'll just quickly highlight the three principal objectives to get us started. The first is to use technology to unlock access to Earth observation data for the development of climate smart applications in Southeast Asia. Second, to grow the capability and the market in Southeast Asia for these products and services. And then thirdly, to support businesses on both sides to engage for mutual benefit. Over the longer term, the initiative is strengthening regional science relations, growing capability and capacity to use new technology to address the challenges of climate change, and also promoting new partnerships across our region. There are two key principles to our approach. The first is the promotion of local ownership and benefit, leveraging local knowledge to ensure that solutions are fit for purpose. And secondly, scalability, implementing a scalable and flexible solution that will enable greater sharing of the benefits of Earth observation more equally across our region. So the next slide outlines the four major stages of this and the EOCSI project as it stands. The first is the technology, the building and development of an Earth observation data analysis platform that leverages the wealth of openly licensed Earth observation data available on the open commercial cloud. Secondly, collaborating with early adopters of the technology to develop capability through training and case study projects. Third, a regional hackathon, linking Australian and Southeast Asian businesses and organizations to develop climate smart use cases and develop new technical and business skills. And finally, and currently underway, is turning those ideas into real practical solutions with ongoing mentoring, training, and business support by Australian experts to progress the use case from use cases to prototype products. And now we're going to take a quick look at these stages in a little more detail, starting with the technology, the platform. So we know that Earth observation data allows us to understand and adapt to climate change, but with more and more data becoming available, it is becoming increasingly challenging to unlock the maximum value. However, new Earth observation data science platforms on the open commercial cloud are helping to break down the barriers to entry and making it easier to access Earth observation data and turn that into actionable information. EOCSI uses CSIRO's Earth Analytics, Science and Innovation Platform technology, or more simply known as EASY. EASY is built around the Open Data Cube, which began as an Australian concept, but is now an international technology innovation and community. EASY provides a truly scalable and managed implementation of the Open Data Cube that leverages Amazon Web Services Singapore cloud computing infrastructure, openly licensed Earth observation data from international providers such as the European Space Agency and the USGS, and access to shared science and expertise from CSIRO and partners. For those of you less familiar with the technical details, the key message really here is that rather than investing in infrastructure, such as high-performance computers, and having to download, store, and pre-process data locally, users can access the analysis-ready data and analytics tools from almost anywhere in the world with an internet connection using just a web browser. So next slide, please. Using the platform, the initiative has built capability in Indonesia with early adopters from Hasanuddin University. And this particular team used the platform to investigate the impacts of climate change on water quality of Lake Tempe in South Sulawesi by using Earth observation to assess the links between rainfall, flooding, and sedimentation of the lake. And Professor Barke, the leader of the Hasanuddin University group, reported on the potential of the platform to benefit the management of Lake Tempe to meet clean water needs. Like other participants that we've engaged with along the way, he and his team see that the ability to quickly analyze hundreds of images in a short time has great potential to assist researchers and governments in addressing the impacts of climate change. So the network of regional stakeholders and early adopters of EOCSI really grew during the hackathon, which was undertaken virtually in July of this year. And that was open to all participants from ASEAN and Australia, from researchers to businesses, NGOs, and government. And in fact, many of the participants had on-ground experience of the impacts of climate change. The objectives of the hackathon were to foster collaborations and encourage networking between Australian and Southeast Asian geospatial industries, to work with those groups to gain new skills, both technical and business skills, to develop climate smart innovation use cases that leverage the platform, and finally, to identify users and use cases to incubate and mentor towards developing new prototype products. And to achieve this, the hackathon provided participants with a diverse range of activities, including brainstorming exercises, keynote speakers, technical training, and business and cultural development seminars. The participants celebrated their achievements at a closing ceremony where they delivered business pitches to a panel of invited experts for feedback. And it's great to see some of those experts online with us today. So throughout the hackathon, we were able to consolidate our understanding of the gaps and opportunities for groups in the region to use this type of technology to address climate change challenges, and also to tailor training to ensure that teams did not only have the practical skills to use the technology, but they were also able to develop a business mindset to understand who their end users were and how to engage with them effectively. Next slide, please. So throughout the hackathon, we worked with over 80 individuals from across Australia and Southeast Asia. And that group was made up of really passionate people with innovative ideas who were willing to learn and collaborate and had a common desire to use science and technology to address the impacts of climate change. And we'd really like to thank all of our fantastic participants from across the region who are contributing to the development of an EOCSI community of practice. So today we're happy to give 3 of our hackathon teams an opportunity to showcase their great ideas. And these groups are continuing to work with the EOCSI team to turn their ideas into reality, refining their concepts and progressing their use cases towards becoming prototype products. So again, thank you for joining us today. And I'd now like to hand over to Alison Rose, Chief of Space Division at Geoscience Australia, for our keynote address.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. It's a great pleasure to join you this afternoon. So I'm Ali Rose. I'm Chief of Space Division here at Geoscience Australia, and it really is a great honour to be speaking about EOCSI and talking about our participant showcase. I'd like to actually begin by acknowledging the continuing connection of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to their land. Today, I'm presenting to you from the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people here in Canberra. And Geoscience Australia acknowledges that our mission to be the trusted source of information on Australia's geology and geography is actually preceded by tens of thousands of years of knowledge gained by generations of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands, waterways and skies where we live, work and learn, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Next slide. Understanding the changing view of our region's natural and human-made landscape over time presents a critical view of our rich and vast landscape that informs evidence-based and targeted policy development, program design and service delivery. Sharing Earth observation data and subsequent capabilities across our region increases access to a wider range of users, which can help support more sustainable decisions towards climate-related challenges and add substantial value to our primary industries and economy. However, to maximise benefits from this big data, we must transform it into easily understood and accessible information. Through international collaborations such as the Open Data Cube technology, Geoscience Australia and CSIRO have developed satellite-derived products and services that help decision-making in planning, preparedness and hazard mitigation across continental Australia. These products are just a small subset of examples that have already been produced. I'm excited about the innovative possibilities that can be made by increasing the spatial scope of these products beyond continental Australia to across the Southeast Asian region. Through initiatives like the Earth Observation for Climate Smart Innovation or EOCSI project, the wonderful presentations that will be made in today's showcase will demonstrate the importance of how shared Earth observation data archives and analytic tools can be used to address regional climate-related challenges across Southeast Asia. Next slide. Increased regional collaboration in EO data has the potential to return an extra $1.3 billion to our region. Over the past 20 years, our region has experienced exceptional growth and development. And while our region is very large and very diverse, we're also impacted by many shared challenges. Our proximity across the Asia-Oceania region means we're well placed to support each other and use science to solve these problems faced by our region together. At a very practical level, it's impossible for any one country to meet all of its EO needs by itself. Working together ultimately allows us to share our infrastructure, our data, our knowledge, our expertise, and our ideas collectively. In this way, we achieve together more than what we could alone, especially when resources, infrastructure, or expertise is limited in our own countries. We know this instinctively. However, we now have economic values to support our claim that regional collaboration is both important and worthwhile. For example, the 2019 report, The Economic Value of Earth and Marine Observation to the Asia Pacific, found that Earth observation is expected to be worth $1.35 trillion US by 2030, and that was on the conservative estimates under a BAU model. If we actually increase the level of strategic EO cooperation across our region, the report actually found that we can find an additional $126 billion US to be realised to our regional economy by 2030. A great example of a truly international EO collaboration is Open Data Cube. Through these technologies, there's potential to enable greater sharing of the benefits of EO more equally and equitably across our region, and unlocking, obviously, that extra 126 billion of growth for our region by 2030. Next slide, please. As we know, Southeast Asia is home to more than 680 million people and is actually globally considered to be one of the most vulnerable regions to climate change. ASEAN countries in particular are among the most susceptible regions to climate change and have already suffered the greatest fatalities and economic losses due to climate-related disasters. For the people of Southeast Asia who have experienced severe and dangerous weather in recent times, this threat and its effect is vastly increased. As industries and business opportunities grow and mature, we must do so in a way that's sustainable. A better understanding of our world, knowing and measuring how it's changing and how it may change into the future is key to finding this balance. The participant presentations made in today's showcase will demonstrate the possibilities of harnessing shared and consistent satellite data to address some of the most pressing climate-related challenges that we currently face. The best solutions come from a collaborative approach based on unique perspectives and different capabilities to foster innovation. Next slide. So Amy already gave us an introduction into the EOCSI, which basically will deploy a new EO analytics platform powered by CSIRO's EASY capability and is operated using Open Data Cube technology, which is a partnership between GA and CSIRO. The new platform will be used to engage local government, business and education institutions to take advantage of EO data for the development of climate smart applications. This initiative was developed with the objective of supporting collaborations between Australian EO innovators and Southeast Asian counterparts to build market interest and demand for innovative products and services based on Open Data Cube technology. Next slide, please. So far, we've seen that Earth observation data can bring enormous scientific and economic value to our region. However, there are several challenges that come about when working with these types of data, including the storage of really large volumes of data sets and pre-processing requirements. New data science platforms and access to cloud computing tools presents opportunities to overcome these challenges. The Open Data Cube, or ODC, is a sophisticated analytical software that is able to quickly and efficiently process very large volumes of satellite data. The ODC, as I mentioned, was developed in partnership with GA and CSIRO, but also our international partners, USGS, the United States Geological Survey, and also the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites. It's non-profit and makes satellite data more valuable and accessible to a greater range of users through its processing and analytic capabilities. Since its development in 2015, I'm pleased to report there are now over 40 data cubes across the world that are either under development or they're in operation. Initiatives including EOCSI promote ODC application across more regions, making satellite data more valuable and accessible to end users. Next slide, please. I thought I'd just take a moment just to describe how we're using Earth observation data for impact within Australia. So in the Australian context, Digital Earth Australia is part of a broader Australian EO ecosystem, which GA supports in its role as the National Satellite Land Imaging Agency. So our Digital Earth Australia program corrects, curates and makes available more than 30 years of freely available satellite land imaging imaging data that we receive through open data policies and standards from our United States and European counterparts. Digital Earth Australia processes and provides national scale imagery that reveals how our lands, waterways, coasts, environments, etc. have all changed over time. We equip government, industry and universities, as well as communities, with organised, analysis-ready data and high-performance computing infrastructure that unlocks the value of satellite observations for planning, monitoring and for problem solving. It's our mission here at Geoscience Australia to embed satellite imagery and data into decisions and policy that support a sustainable Australian environment, a resilient society and a strong economy. Our Digital Earth Australia products, tools and services, just some of which are showing on the slide here, enable us to explore and quantify patterns of variability in the Australian landscape, consider what changes might occur in the future, and obviously, how do we best respond to those challenges? Through our derived products that you can see here, like coastlines, water bodies, land cover, wetlands, hotspots and more, we're supporting government policy and decision making. These derived products are proving really useful to a wide range of government and business users in Australia. And in fact, if we move to the next slide, I'd like to just draw specific reference to one product that was released just last year. And indeed, this technology is not just available in Australia, we've just deployed it for the whole of continental Africa as well. So the DEA Coastline product provides annual shoreline positions and rates of coastal change along the entire Australian coastline since 1988, right up until the present. And it provides valuable insights into whether changes to our coastlines are a result of actions or events or a process of gradual change over time. The product itself actually supports scientists, resource managers, policymakers and business to assess impacts from the range of drivers impacting our coastlines and potentially assist planning and forecasting for future scenarios. Just earlier this year, and you can see the media article there, CoreLogic, a global real estate data company, applied the DEA Coastlines dataset over their own statistics on the values of homes on the Australian coastline, which, despite the size of the Australian landmass, is where more than 80% of our people live. What CoreLogic found was that using DEA coastlines, the value of the homes under a high or very high risk of climate change threat over the next 30 to 60 years was in the order of $25 billion. This revelation, based on our freely available product, was so significant that the story actually ran in almost all major news outlets. In the longer term, it will have important impacts for both the building and urban planning industries. So I just wanted to draw reference just to that one product. Moving on to the next slide, please. On that note, I guess I've taken a moment to talk about the benefit and value of satellite-derived products and services and how we apply them in Australia. I'd like to highlight that we're now in a position to extend these opportunities beyond the Australian context. I'd now like to bring you all back to the goals of the EOCSI initiative and the purpose of today's showcase through initiatives like Earth Observation for Climate Smart Innovation. The wonderful presentations made in today's showcase will demonstrate the importance of how shared EO data archives and analytics can be tailored and used to address regional climate-related challenges across Southeast Asia. The innovation and diversity in ideas that come with these presentations truly demonstrate the importance of ensuring satellite data is accessible to a range of users across our wonderful and dynamic region. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to open up the presentation today and the participant showcase. And now warmly invite you to sit back, relax and enjoy the following presentations from our participants. So thanks for your time and attention, and I look forward to the presentations.
A warm thank you from all of us to you, Ali. That was a fantastic, very informative and really, really useful keynote to help us understand the depth and breadth of the impacts that we're hoping to achieve through this entire program. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
great.
I can, Roshni.
Great. So I would like to take a moment now to share a little bit about what some of the themes that we are hoping to create impact in and why they're so important. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, there have been often very devastating and increasing variability of climate change impacts that we're starting to feel now. We've seen floods, fires, people being displaced by disasters that are happening, and the use of Earth observation or satellite technologies to be able to have impact in this space is an application that's fast growing. Similarly, to be able to manage our assets and critical infrastructure more effectively, to be able to link back to when disasters occur, and also to manage the future changes as population growth happens, etc., is another application where satellite technologies are able to really create impact as things are becoming much more affordable and much more accessible. For forest health, reforestation, conservation, and environmental monitoring generally, the importance of space technologies is increasing as we understand how climatic patterns are shifting. Next slide, please, Rachel. I'd now like to present the first of 3 projects who we would like to showcase today. These 3 teams have been with us from our initial hackathon through to the phase 2 that we're in the process of completing now. This first project, called Delta Coast, Coastal Infrastructure Monitoring with SAR, is a collaboration between Dr. Joshua Simmons and Dr. Ben Williams. They have been looking at how we can leverage Earth observation data through the EOCSI platform to provide efficient solutions on all sorts of coastal damage. Using near real-time monitoring of coastal infrastructure over large spatial areas, they're hoping to identify triggers for action and inform proactive adaptation and mitigation strategies for key managers and decision makers such as ports management, marinas, and governments across Australia and Southeast Asia. They have made incredible strides over the past few weeks as we've been working through this program, and here is a short video that showcases the incredible work that they have.
Hi, my name is Josh Simmons and I'm a data scientist from Sydney with a background in coastal engineering. Our project centres around the monitoring of coastal infrastructure, and in this video we focus on breakwaters and seawalls, which are often made up of individual rock armour units. These can be displaced and moved in response to powerful storm events like the one that you see on the left. It's vital that we have efficient and effective ways of monitoring these assets given the threat posed by climate change. Climate change has the potential to change the frequency and severity of storm events and also exacerbate the impact of these through sea level rise. This means that assets may be more vulnerable to damage in the future.
I'm Ben Williams, a coastal engineer with 20 years experience in coastal infrastructure projects. I'm a research fellow in coastal engineering at the University of Western Australia and the managing director of Ocean Analytics. Our idea is to leverage the latest generation of satellite Earth observation and cloud compute technologies to develop a platform for efficient and cost-effective monitoring of coastal infrastructure. We deploy machine learning algorithms to satellite data to look at change in time at coastal structures such as breakwaters or revetments. This approach allows us to rapidly identify features such as storm damage or other recent changes within the structure that might need closer monitoring and maintenance. Our approach adds value to asset managers because we are able to monitor multiple coastal assets simultaneously over a wide region of space. Changes detected by our algorithms allow us to help asset managers focus their monitoring and maintenance efforts in a cost-optimized way.
Our product is built on top of SAR data. SAR is an active remote sensing method, meaning that it can image in all weather unaffected by cloud cover. It provides a consistent signal of what it sees on the ground through time, making it ideal for change detection. We've used a combination of SAR data sources, including Sentinel-1 and higher resolution providers such as NovaSAR. You can see an example of a NovaSAR image on the right here. This is a 6-meter resolution image taken at a site on the east coast of Australia at Coffs Harbour. Here we see an example application of our prototype change detection algorithm. We've applied this as a proof of concept to real-time monitoring of a breakwater construction project in Western Australia. Our algorithm captures the construction of the breakwater over time in approximately 2-week intervals. You can see that the colour corresponds to the date that change was detected, and so we can see the progression of construction as the breakwaters are built out from the land, and we can also see the removal of the former breakwater. We can see in addition construction staging areas and also changes in the wave breaking patterns behind the newly constructed breakwater.
Our anticipated end users for this product include local and state government authorities, port and maritime facility operators, and others, asset managers who require historical and real-time monitoring of their assets in a cost-efficient way. We can provide timely data to supplement existing monitoring programs, and our innovative approach provides value to asset managers, allowing targeted responses to asset maintenance.
Thank you very much to Josh and Ben for that increasingly relevant and very interesting project. Our next project is one by the team Syracuse. So Moritz Müller, Jenny Chu, Florina Richards, and Asila Wang. They have focused on regulation and environmental management in Sarawak, Malaysia. Rapid urbanization and increased agriculture across Southeast Asia is resulting in significant clearing of ecologically significant coastal forests. The subsequent decline in coastal ecosystems, including mangroves and seagrass beds, also threatens the resilience of coastal communities facing hazards associated with climate change. The provision of Earth observation data can assist local communities and decision makers with tools to plan for and provide action towards strategic, alternative, and more sustainable forestry models. Remotely sensed datasets can also provide additional information on remote areas that are difficult to access on foot. So end users of this project include forestry corporations and local governments in Sarawak, Malaysia. Here is a short video showcasing their work. And a gentle reminder to everybody that we would love to hear questions from you. So please go to www.slido.com and enter in the event code #showcase2022 to enter in your questions at any time. We have members of each of these groups available in the audience if you would like to ask them a question about their project as well. And so on to the third of our projects that we are showcasing today. I'd like to introduce this work by Stephen Page, who is interested in using Earth observation data to monitor and map the integrity of boundaries of important bird areas, or IBAs, in Semenanjung, Malaysia. So these boundaries can be compromised through damage, illegal clearing, or rezoning. And near real-time Earth observation data can provide regular updates to assist with conservation integrity and proactive management. As geospatial skills and funding is generally limited, EOCSI is an important tool that is able to provide pre-processed open source imagery and also to allow analysis of this imagery to occur in an accessible way. Steve's main learning from the EOCSI hackathon was getting to know more people across Southeast Asian region with the skills and enthusiasm for using EO to solve problems and challenges. So here we'll now see the short video from Steve about the important work he's doing, which ties together some of the complex relationships that happen when it comes to conservation.
Good morning from Kuala Lumpur. Our project using the CSIRO EOCSI Open Data Cube investigates the benefits of a toolkit of workflows for providing landscape information products to support community forest conservation initiatives in Malaysia. Across Malaysia, from the coastal mangrove and peat swamp forests to the mountain dipterocarp forests, from large remote forests to smaller urban patches, scores of local community action groups are acting to retain and protect their local forest patches. Sometimes this means active campaigning to protect areas from loss, but almost always it centres on encouraging recreational use of the forest trails and fostering an appreciation of the natural biodiversity of these areas. So mapping landscape characteristics, such as the varied terrain and vegetation land units, drainage patterns, erosion, landslides and stream flows, and changes to forest patch boundaries, can be a great tool for people to learn about complex forest processes and interrelationships. This is a great asset in advocacy for forest protection, but also in understanding our role in landscape processes. What are the landscape and biodiversity impacts of the loss of forest areas, of human impacts, of recreation? Why do we want to minimise trail construction, a very popular pastime here? Why should we design access paths based on terrain and water flow patterns? But for these local user groups, landscape datasets are generally not accessible in Malaysia. Even simple 10-metre contours and stream drainage lines must be generated. And with this lack of data comes lack of awareness. Often the value of landscape data is not recognised at this local level. Access to the skills for processing Earth observation data is also limited at this level. Therefore, our project is investigating the benefits. Can the CSIRO EOCSI Open Data Cube platform enable us to produce datasets for various landscape information products efficiently and quickly for projects at a range of scales? The benefits of Open Data Cubes include pixel-based coverage of analysis-ready Earth observation datasets, a wide and hopefully growing array of Jupyter notebooks for various algorithms and workflows, and hopefully a growing user community. Here's some of the potential data sets, both within the EOCSI platform and that we can upload into it. Thank you.
So once again, thanks to our 3 groups who have put together these presentations to share with you today the work they have been doing. I'd now like to welcome our 3 panelists to the stage as we discuss and take a moment to think about what some of the implications are of this project and what some of the measures of success might look like. A reminder also that we do have the members of each of these 3 groups available in the audience today if you would like to ask a question related to some of the videos that you have just seen. So welcoming on screen now, we have Dr. Amy Parker, who has been our host for today and is the director of the CSIRO Centre for Earth Observation. Welcoming also Matt Padgett, who is Technical and Business Co-Lead for CSIRO's Earth Analytics Science Innovation Platform, and Megan McCarb, Director, Assistant General of National Planning and International Relations for Geoscience Australia. So please do take a moment to go to Slido and see if there are any questions that you would like to add here. In the meantime, I would like to open up to begin with a question for Dr. Amy Parker to begin with. What do you think are the biggest barriers to the uptake of Earth observation data for Southeast Asia?
Thanks, Roshni. And I think I might need you to turn my video back on. There we go. So I think some of the biggest barriers are things that have been discussed either by our great keynote speaker or in some of the presentations that we've had today. And I think that some of that is around this sort of expert level that is required when it comes to the pre-processing of the data. And I think that that has been a real barrier and has really put people off working with certain types of Earth observation data. And I'd say that that is particularly true for SAR data, synthetic aperture radar. And that's the type of data that we saw in the Delta Coast presentation. And it's really valuable in this geographic region because it's able to see through cloud cover. So in the cloudy wet tropics, it's a really powerful data set to use, but traditionally, because quite a lot of pre-processing steps are required to get it to an analysis ready state, people have really shied away from using it. So I think that that's been one of the real barriers. And through working with this sort of analysis ready data on platforms like the EOCSI platform, it means that users don't have to spend their time learning all of those steps. They can just take that analysis ready product. And then I think one of the second challenges has really been around the hardware and the software that's required to work with these data sets. So even me sitting in Australia, sometimes to download a single Sentinel-1 radar image would take, more than an hour, sometimes up to 2, 3, 4 hours. And that's really sort of unfeasible when we're looking at working with large data sets on regional or sort of countrywide scales. So using a system that then allows us to bypass all of that data download and storage and having to have access to specialist software, I think is really helping to overcome some of these barriers when it comes to working with Earth observation data. And then I guess the final thing is also really awareness and trust. So it's not necessarily a technology issue. It's that people aren't necessarily aware of what Earth observation can deliver, or there is a perception that, what are those objects in the sky? Do we trust what they tell us about what's happening on Earth? So having sort of validated, trusted use cases to communicate the benefits of Earth observation data, I think, is another really key piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. A question now for Megan. What are some of the benefits that you see of working together in our region through activities like the Earth Observation for Climate Smart Initiative Innovation Program?
Thank you, Roshni. Given how susceptible our region is to the effects of climate change, working together to help those most vulnerable is an essential approach to make sure we plan and prepare for a more sustainable future. As Ali pointed out in her keynote, working together and sharing geospatial data and tools across our region not only allows more governments, businesses and communities to use this information to support critical decision making, but it will add value back into our region. Working together ultimately allows us to share infrastructure, data, knowledge, expertise, and ideas collectively. In this way, we achieve together more than what we could do alone, especially when resources, infrastructure, and expertise is limited in our own countries. Ali summed it up really well. I couldn't say it better than her. The EOCSI initiative promotes these efforts through education, webinars, and hackathons towards the development of tailored geospatial solutions for local and regional climate-related challenges across Southeast Asia. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Megan. I'd like to ask a quick question for Matt, and then we'll open up to anyone from any of the groups who are around at the moment. So, Matt, what can data providers do to make their Earth observation data sets more available through platforms like EOCSI? And also, is there anywhere that you can recommend that we can find an overview of the main EO products and the geographic coverages that are available for projects such as this?
Thank you, Roshi. Hopefully my sound and some of the video comes through okay.
Yes.
I'm slightly in a low Wi-Fi zone at the moment, so I'm just going to turn my video off and keep speaking, and hopefully I can answer it satisfactorily.
No worries.
So what we find this from a technology point of view, when we try and connect up some of the data sets into a platform such as the Open Data Cube or EOCSI, is broadly there's a general transition to making more of the EO and spatial data sets publicly available in the cloud, which is great. This is what we're after. However, to make these data easy to access and use, there are a couple of features that we really encourage data providers to consider. And one is cloud native data formats, and these leverage the capabilities of reading parts of a file and some of the parallel read capabilities that are available within the cloud technology platforms. And that means it makes it easier and faster for us to read data into memory and use it straight away. Without a cloud native data format, we revert to a more typical reading of the whole file into memory before we can use it, which is fine, but we lose some of the benefits of operating within the cloud in that case. And the other point I'd like to make is analysis-ready data. This is a fantastic initiative, and as it really helps users access and as it provides process data directly available to users straight away to access users. So,
looks like we might be losing Matt there.
Happy to pick
as
up on
data providers go.
Sorry, Matt, we lost you for a second.
Oh no!
Just about
had to happen.
3 seconds.
Okay, I'll start again. Maybe analysis-ready data. So that was the point I was trying to make here. Analysis-ready data is a fantastic initiative as it provides process data available to users. However, it's still quite important for our EO scientists and other users to understand the processing steps that go to making the final data that they use. And this relates to the trust point that Amy referred to as well. So while it's great that data is made available in the cloud for us to use and access, it's still really important to see the methods documented, and so we can understand how the data has been processed and what we're using in our analyses. So that's my overall. For data providers yet to embrace the cloud, this is fine. We can still access and use their data, but broadly we see a transition to using the cloud, and we'd encourage data providers out there to consider the cloud as part of their future data delivery options. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Matt. I'd like to open up to any of our participants who are in the room at the moment now to please unmute and tell us, what did you learn most out of the Earth Observation for Climate Smart Innovation project? So we have a number of our teams in the room today. Josh, I can see that you've started your video. Maybe if you and Ben would like to start before we pass to Florina.
Yeah, sure. I think I just left a comment in the Slido, but really, I think we talked around it a few times today, but really the power of doing computing in the cloud, especially for these types of problems, it was a lot of trial and error for us, and there is a lot of error along the way. And if you're not doing that somewhere where it's really convenient to prototype, then yeah, it makes it really hard. So that was a big learning for me.
I think I could say it better than Josh. It was the power of that platform that really helped the speed of delivery, which we could take an idea that Josh called me up and said, "Hey, I've got this idea. Do you fancy trying it out?" To really getting through to a valid and working prototype very, very efficiently.
Amazing. Florina, did you have anything you'd like to add?
I think the biggest takeaway from this entire hackathon is that we learn how to convert our idea into business, because we do science and then we don't know, how can we make it into a service? How do we price our services? And in terms of the technical support, I think we had really incredible support from Eric, Afan, and sorry if I missed anyone, Matt. Yeah, we have a lot of support. So I think that is this has been an incredible platform for all of us. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Steve, I can see that you're online.
Yep. Yeah. I sort of, before we were involved in this process, I sort of understood the cloud-based open data cube systems existed. Hadn't really used them, but combining them, the big learning for me was being able to combine them with the Jupyter notebooks. So where you had, and that's what really gave the power, leveraged the power to be able to do what Josh and Ben were just describing, being able to just, do multiple analyses quite quickly and efficiently, and also to access a whole range of notebooks from other people that, there's a growing library of notebooks where you've got algorithms and workflows that you can learn from and adapt and use for inspiration. So I think that combining the Open Data Cube with the notebooks is what made it really powerful.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Steve. And last call, if there's anyone else from any of our groups who would like to unmute and share your learnings. All right, so I might now ask another question. For the audience here today, for any of our panelists or any of our participants, what do you think the one takeaway or the one call to action would be that you would advise? I might start with you, Amy.
Sure, it's a good question, Roshni. I think one of the real takeaways is that we're really uplifting our digital capability. And that is true for ourselves in Australia, ourselves at CSIRO, or even we know that we've got this deluge, this massive increase in the volume and the variety of Earth observation data, and that we need to be able to unlock the maximum value from that. And so we're going to have to uplift our digital capabilities to do that. And we're doing it in a way that allows us to be interoperable, to work and collaborate with others in the most flexible way, using best practices in technology and data. And so I think my takeaway is that really we're sort of all facing the same challenges when it comes to this. And for a lot of people, it's, dipping into cloud computing with their Earth observation work is sort of a new thing, a new concept. Many of us haven't done it before. So doing it together in a collaborative way, I think is going to give us all the most value.
Amazing, thank you. Megan, did you have other comments you'd like to add to that?
Thanks, Roshni. I think my takeaway is very similar to Amy's. The best solutions come from a collaborative approach, and those collaborative approaches work the best when they're based on unique perspectives and different capabilities to help us all foster innovation.
Thank you. And Matt, did you have anything you'd like to add if you're able to share?
No, not at this time. I've just been busy answering questions back in Slido.
No worries. And for any of our participants, Josh and Ben, Steve, Team SarahCube.
Yeah, I can echo from a participant side as well. So not just the infrastructure, but not trying to do this in isolation as someone trying to use the data as well, because it's such a, it seems like a really rapidly changing space. There's so much to learn and it's quite complicated. So being able to sort of brainstorm with other people, get ideas and share ideas is really important. So.
Thank you. Ben, Steve, Moritz.
Hi, sorry, I just came in. I just want to add that I think that the ability to bounce the ideas really, as pointed out just now, is really valuable. And so we can actually work with products that we can trust. It's not just something we derive, we make a code, we get an image that works. We can actually get expert advice that the image we're looking at actually makes any sense, and we can actually use the data. So when we just look at normal images from the satellite, we can't really use them so directly in our applications, but then working with you all has increased our scientific knowledge and our skills quite a bit. So yeah, thank you for all that.
Wonderful. So thank you again to all of our participants and our panelists. I'll now hand back to Amy for the next part of this presentation.
Thanks, Roshni. So just in closing today, I want to just thank you all again for your attendance, and thanks to the fantastic participants for putting together those great videos for us. And if you would like to learn more about the initiative, then there's a link that I'm just dropping into the chat where you can read more about it. And then there is a second link where you can read more about the hackathon that took place in July as well. And we will be hosting another event in early 2023. So we look forward to seeing you all again there. But in the meantime, if you have any further questions or queries, then please do feel free to reach out to me by email. We're very happy to engage. So please don't be afraid to ask your questions directly. So just thank you again to my project partners, Geoscience Australia, Frontier Science, Symbios. And it was great to see you all today. Thank you.